So apparently, the Fever just leaked their starting five. According to this graphic right here,
Nobody would have expected that a picture of the starting five would shake up the league, and yet it has. One click, and every timeline ignited. Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, DeWanna Bonner, Natasha Howard, Aliyah Boston. 5 names, 3 max contracts, 2 recent Rookies of the Year, and an arm-length resume of all-star nods. In an instant, the Indiana Fever morphed, at least on paper, from promising upstart to alleged super team, triggering hot takes, venue changes, and even a few thinly veiled grumbles from rival stars. And if you think the chatter stops at Twitter, think again. Minneapolis icon Napheesa Collier went on national TV and called the league's broadcast schedule kinda crazy.
But to not have the defending champs on TV more, I think it's kind of crazy. I mean,
Pointing at Indiana's wall-to-wall coverage. Love it or hate it, the fuse is lit. So let's follow the sparks all the way to opening night. Within hours of the leak, Atlanta moved its home opener from the snug 3,500-seat Gateway Center to the 17,000-seat State Farm Arena, officially due to a scheduling conflict, unofficially because every Clark appearance sells out faster than a sneaker drop. Fans praised the business savvy. Purists cried foul. ESPN's First Take turned Fever airtime into a shouting match, with Collier insisting the league put the people on TV that folks want to see, but refusing to accept a spotlight that leaves champs like the Liberty in the shadows. The takeaway: Indiana's roster isn't just better, it's polarizing, and polarization is rocket fuel for retention. Stay mad, stay tuned. But that outrage is pocket change next to the on-court fireworks. Caitlin Clark stormed the W last year, leading the league in total points created, points plus assists, and shattering rookie assist records. Yet Steph White isn't satisfied with historic. Her mantra in camp: make plays, not run plays. Translation: free Clark from the top of key leash and turn her into perpetual motion. Picture her handing off, sprinting baseline, cutting back door, then teleporting to the opposite wing for a 30-footer before the defense even sets its feet. Screens come from everywhere: Boston's brick wall picks, Howard's lightning slips, Bonner's 6 feet 4 inches wings. Each possession becomes a shell game. Follow the ball and you lose Clark. Follow Clark and Bonner slashes. Collapse on a driver and Mitchell buries a corner triple.
but obviously Caitlin Clark's going to be the point guard. Kelsey Mitchell, the shooting guard, the most potent backcourt in the WNBA. Aliyah Boston is the center who doesn't hunt for shots but can be a key cog on both ends.
The synergy with Boston is already absurd. Last year, their pick and roll produced 1.28 points per possession, best among duos with 200-plus reps. Keep them healthy, and the numbers threaten to rewrite record books. And Clark's not running alone. DeWanna Bonner didn't fly to Indy for nostalgia. She came for a ring. At 37, she still poured in 15 a night for Connecticut, and her familiarity with White's schemes means zero adaptation time.
I think DeWanna Bonner will be the Swiss Army knife kind of player at the 3, while Natasha Howard fills that hole that they had at power forward, especially they were lacking somebody who could run the floor, catch, and finish.
Natasha Howard, meanwhile, returns to the franchise that drafted her over a decade ago, armed with 3 titles, a defensive POI trophy, and a promise: it's going to be the Clark and Flash show. Her straight-line rim running plugs last year's transition gap, while her switchability patches defensive holes that bled points. Both vets agreed to 1-year mid-6-figure deals. Short enough to keep the cap flexible, large enough to scream urgency. Indiana isn't flirting with contention, it's all in. Yet championships hinge on the pieces willing to do dirty work.
And then Sophie Cunningham, the first player off the bench to provide lineup versatility and shooting. Either way, there are a lot of options.
Sophie Cunningham used to make headlines for flagrant elbows and ref-baiting scowls. So when she landed in a stacked Fever locker room, skeptics expected fireworks. Instead, she stunned everyone.
Here for the spotlight. I didn't come here to have more eyes. I came here to win.
By volunteering as first off the bench, Cunningham unlocks lineup chaos, sliding to the 4 in microball groups, moonlighting as a 3-and-D wing, even chasing point guards so Clark can breathe. Alongside her, Lexi Hull, league-leading 47% from deep post-All-Star break, and Sydney Colson's steady hand erased the second-unit drop-off that doomed Indy in crunch time last year. Add Brianna Turner's bone-rattling screens, and the bench looks less like reserves and more like an ambush platoon. But one off-season gamble still haunts front office discussions. When Indiana submitted its protected list for December's expansion draft, observers expected Temi Fagbenle, 6 feet 4 inches, rim-running, Boston-friendly, to be a lock. She wasn't. The Golden State Valkyries pounced, social media erupted, and local blogs questioned GM Amber Cox's sanity. Cox's rebuttal: versatility trumps sentiment. Damiris Dantas's stretch shooting and cost-controlled rookies provide matchup flexibility and future trade chips.
In order for the Fever to achieve the goals that they have in front of them, everyone is going to need to buy into their role, and it's up to Stephanie White to put the best lineups out there, the best lineup combinations, and all of that.
Still, insiders whisper about a mid-season search for one more bruising big, especially if Turner's offense stalls or injuries strike. File this under plot lines to revisit when the trade deadline looms. The noise outside Gainbridge Fieldhouse only gets louder. 41 nationally broadcast games. That's the figure fueling every talk show rant, Reddit thread, and barbershop debate. Combine Clark's college-era sellout streak with WNBA ticket scarcity, and franchises are literally moving home dates to NBA arenas. Atlanta did it. Washington did it. Vegas and Chicago followed suit. Traditionalists bark about fairness. Marketers gorge on revenue. Even the Caitlin Clark effect has its dissenters. Some Lynx fans claim the league is printing money on one face. But controversy is content, and content is currency. The more critics talk, the more casuals tune in, which means retention gold for any storyteller savvy enough to ride the wave. Still, eyeballs alone don't hoist banners. The hardwood decides that. Steph White grins when reporters ask about problems created by abundance. Her chalkboard features variations: the Avalanche, Bonner at 3, Howard Boston Twin Towers, the Blur, Howard at 5, 4 shooters running 5 out, the Clamp, Hull, plus Cunningham sharing wings, Colson pestering ball handlers. Analytics, darling, positive point differential. Predicts any lineup containing Clark, Boston, and 2 35% plus shooters will crest plus 12 per 100 possessions. Warped video game numbers.
You know, when you have more weapons, a lot of people are worried. I don't think they have players who need the ball to score, but they have more players who can score.
Last year's core already averaged 80.7 points. Slot in Howard's transition layups and Bonner's corner triples, and projection models flirt with 87 PPG at league best efficiency. Spacing nightmares force defenses to pick the tallest poison. Collapse and die by threes, or stretch and watch Boston feast. But even juggernauts quake if the foundation cracks. Defense remains the elephant in the locker room. Indiana ranked 11th out of 12 teams in defensive rating before the Olympic break and still finished middling afterward. Howard's arrival helps, Bonner's wingspan helps. Yet Clark and Mitchell must shoulder heavier perimeter assignments to avoid late-game shootouts. Chemistry is another variable. 9 voices want minutes, millions of viewers dissect every huddle, and nothing dampens vibes like a 3-game skid on national TV. Finally, the Fagbenle gamble leaves the front court one ankle tweak from crisis. If early losses expose interior leaks, expect Cox to flip picks for a rental big faster than you can say waiver wire. So where does all this leave a franchise once trapped in rebuild purgatory?
As far as what the Fever really needed last year, they got killed on the boards at times. They got killed defensively at times. They lacked a little bit of toughness and I think, collectively, the new players fill that.
In barely 18 months, Indiana vaulted from lottery mainstay to league disruptor. They drafted a generational point guard, paired her with a once-in-a-decade post, then sprinkled in veteran stardust until pundits screamed unfair. Whether that alchemy yields a dynasty or a short-lived supernova depends on health, humility, and how quickly 9 potential starters buy into roles distilled on a leaking graphic. The only certainty is that every step, every down screen, every turnover, every shrug from a benched star will unfold under a magnifying glass. For the Fever, the spotlight is scalding and inevitable. The question hanging in the rafters is simple. Will they bask in it long enough to raise a banner, or burn before they ever get close?